Hello, my dear friends. Today I want to talk about intermittent fasting. I want to tell you what is intermittent fasting, what are the benefits, and how, using this magical tool of intermittent fasting, we can lose weight effortlessly. Weight loss can become a breeze. The thing is, I was always a fat person. I tried all sort of diets, exercise, and did everything that was possible, but I could never lose weight. Then I discovered intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet, and the weight fell off as if it is happening automatically. I lost close to 50 pounds in a matter of 3 months. So let's have a look at intermittent fasting and let's see its benefits and what it does to our body. First of all, intermittent fasting is a way of eating. It is not a diet, it is an eating regime. In intermittent fasting, we give large gaps between meals. Normally, there are 3 types of intermittent fasting. The first one is 16-8, in which people normally fast for 16 hours and eat and have an eating window of 8 hours. Normally, like they stop eating at 7 in the evening, and then they have their breakfast at 11 a.m. in the morning. The second type of intermittent fasting that is very popular is warrior diet, in which a person would fast for 20 hours a day and have a eating window of 4 hours. And the third one is 1 meal per day. There are some other techniques as well, like some people fast one day and eat the other day, or some people fast for 2 days in a week, and so on. So there can be many combinations, but the main principle is giving large gaps between the meals. So let's see, why is this important? Why giving large gaps between the meals is important? First of all, we have to understand the function of insulin in our body. Now, insulin is a very important enzyme, and the main purpose of functions of the insulin is, first of all, it absorbs nutrients in our body. Secondly, it is the main factor in fat storage. And thirdly, it plays a very important role in appetite control. Now, in appetite, there is also another ghrelin and leptin which play its role. Ghrelin grows the appetite, whereas leptin lowers the appetite. But leptin and insulin are inversely proportional to each other. If there is larger quantity of insulin, leptin will be low, and vice versa. So it means if we have more insulin, we will be hungry more often and will like to eat more. So in simple words, we can say is insulin is equal to fat storage. If there is more insulin in our body, we will store more fats and we will be more hungry. So insulin plays a pivotal or central role in fat loss. So in order to reduce fat in our body, if we want to shed pounds, we have to reduce the amount of insulin. Insulin is released by our pancreas, and the problem is when we eat foods which cause release of insulin more and more, our body becomes sort of immune to insulin. It's called insulin insensitivity. Our body becomes insensitive to insulin. So our pancreas start pumping out more and more insulin. That results into more and more fat storage and keeps us hungry all the time. And that is why it is so easy to gain weight nowadays in this fast food diet era. Now here is a chart that I have made, on the top side is no fat loss when we have more insulin in our body, and then on the lower side of this chart is fat loss. This is how a normal person would eat. We have breakfast, the insulin comes down, but then we have a snack, and then before it could come down again, we have lunch, then snack, then dinner, and between dinner and breakfast the insulin will dip a little bit to touch the fat reserves a little bit. So the thing is, we need breaks between meals so that the insulin level can come down to fat burning levels. We have got to bring insulin down. Now there is another chart. In this we can see is if when we eat food, at that time on the upper side of the chart you can see the glucose is main source for our energy. Our body is burning more of glucose. As the time progresses, the central line is the hours. The body will burn less glucose and will start touching the fat reservoir that we have. Somewhere between at 12 hours our body stops. It's never completely stopped, but it starts burning more fat than glucose. So the intermittent fasting minimum period is 12 hours plus. So how long should we be fasting? We should be fasting intermittently. Now 8 hours is hardly a fast. There is hardly a fast in this, and when we touch the 12 hours mark, we can say that now we have started reaping the benefits. But in order to have a good intermittent fast, the minimum time should be 14 to 16 hours. In fact, 16 hours is considered to be the minimum time for intermittent fasting, and this is the time when this is the mark which people try to achieve when they start intermittent fasting. So they reach 16 and then they go up to 20 or 24. Another important point that we must understand is that our body has two energy sources, glucose and fat. Our body can run on glucose or it can run on fat, but it can use one at a time. When I say one, it does not mean that it just burn 100% glucose or 100% fats, but it is either in glucose burning state or fats burning state. So when it is burning fat, it is burning very less glucose, and when it is burning glucose, it is burning very less fat. And what tells the body which energy source to burn? You get it right, insulin. If there is insulin in our body, the body would burn glucose. When the insulin has left our body, then we will be burning fats. So let's see what spike insulin. The first thing that spike insulin is carbohydrates. It will spike insulin very high. The second food source is proteins. It spike insulin, but not to that level. And the third is fats. When we eat fats, our insulin is spiked minimum. On the other side, if we want to control our appetite, the best food is proteins. It keeps us full for longer time. The second is fats. It has a neutral effect on our appetite. And then there are carbs, which are the worst, especially simple carbohydrates which dissolve very fast in our body, like sugar, Coca-Cola, and such things. Initially they give us a feeling of fullness, but then there is a very harsh rebound and we are hungry again. Some of the activities that can control or lower the levels of insulin are low carbohydrates diet, exercise, uh, and having a balanced meal of proteins and fats. We should eat proteins in every meal, and we should always add good natural fats to our meal. Then there is a myth that if we don't eat something for every 3 to 4 hours, it will damage our stomach, or the fasting damage our stomach. This is completely wrong. It is falsehood. The world record of fasting is for 382 days, in which a person lost he came down from 456 pounds to 276 pounds without any adverse effects. Obviously, this extreme level of fasting is not recommended for a normal person, but he just took water and vitamins. If you search on YouTube, you will find many people who go on water fast from 3 days to 20 days. This is not a big deal. So this is just a myth. There's another myth that if we fast, we will lose muscle or our metabolism will come down. This is completely falsehood, because if we fast for 72 hours, our metabolism will come down just 10%. Just 10%. On the other hand, when we fast for 24 hours, our growth hormones increase by 2000%. And as we know, growth hormones are extremely anabolic, that is, they build muscle, and they trigger the body into building more muscles. This is because when in old days, when human beings used to live in caves, they would either feast or they would either be in feasting mode or in a famine mode. Like once they have hunted a bison, they would be feasting. After they have feasted, they would go into a famine mode. And that is a trigger for the body to jumpstart its system so that the person can get out of the cave, hunt and find food. So that is why once we are in a fasted state, our body systems get a trigger. It starts, our body, our mind is more alert so that we can look for food. Another thing is, when we have high level of insulin in our body has access to just the glucose available in our body, that is in our livers, in our muscles or blood stream. So that is from 2000-3000 calories range. But once our insulin level is lowered, immediately all the fat reservoirs, which is from 100,000 calories to 200,000 calories, it is available to our body to burn and tap this huge resource. So when we are fasting, our mind is more alert, it is more clear, and our body has more energy. But you must be thinking, why is that when we don't eat for 6 to 8 hours, we feel lightheaded, we have headaches, and then we feel weak? It has to do nothing with eating or energy. That is sugar addiction. Just like a cocaine addict or a heroin addict, when he cannot get his fix, he feels bad. His body is in need of that addictive substance. Similarly, most of us are addicted to sugar and carbohydrates. So body is craving that. Most of the people who go on an extended water fast for 2 to 3 or 4 days, they will tell you that on third day they feel better than they have ever felt in their life, because that is the time when their body gets rid of sugar addiction, and now the body is convinced that it has to survive on the fat stores that it is carrying. The natural balance of the body is restored. Now, we have to be very clear about one thing, and that is insulin is gate of the fat storage. If you lower that gate, the fat storage will be used. If that gate is closely shut, we will not be able to use our fats. Fat cells also store toxic materials. So when we lose we lose fats, we also lose those toxic materials, which means less inflammation and less diseases in our body. People who go on intermittent fasting, they will tell you that during the fast there was bad smell from their mouth and their body. That is because when the fats stored in the body is melting, the body is also getting rid of all those toxic materials. This is a natural detox process, which is very important for a healthy human being. So this is one of the biggest biggest benefit of intermittent fasting, in fact even more than losing weight. The next point I'll again highlight is that there is no damage to stomach if we fast for 2-3 days. There is no problem. And when the insulin levels are reduced, in fact they are not reduced, they are brought to the levels at which they were supposed to be. We get rid of many thyroid problems and diseases like cancer. You may or may not know that the cancerous cells, they feast on sugar. So once we get rid of carbohydrates and excess sugars, we also get rid of cancer creating elements in our body. This is from all the research that I have read on internet and from the articles and books that I have read. None of this is, I have not made up any of this. So the next thing that I'll highlight is that when we are intermittent fasting, we have more energy. There is a larger reservoir available for the body. As I have told previously, that when the insulin level is high, our body can just utilize glucose. But once it is reduced, we can utilize our fat stores, and because of that we have more energy available. But the point is, why are fat people lazy? If they have so much fat, then why are they lazy? That is because when we eat food and our body has higher levels of insulin, instead of that food being utilized by our body and providing us with energy, that food is stored in our fat cells because of the high levels of insulin. In a sense, insulin steals our food. It not only steals our food, it sends a message to the body that I am hungry again. So we eat more food, and again that food is stored in the fat cells and we are hungry again. So there is a vicious cycle in which instead of utilizing food, we are just storing it in fat cells and we are hungry all the time. In fact, it is this behavior and this phenomena due to which people who are accumulating fat have less energy and they are sedentary. I'll say this again. People who are gaining fat have less energy, and that is why they are sedentary and couch potatoes, and not the other way around. It is not that people are couch potatoes and lazy, so they are fat. No, it is the other way around. Because of high level of insulin, we have less energy. The food we eat is stored as fat. We have less energy available, so we tend to sit more and become lazy. In fact, this point is written in a book called Good Calorie, Bad Calorie. The name of the author, I'm forgetting the name of the author, but this is a very well researched point, and it is very important to understand if we want to live a life of balanced and happy and healthy life. So finally, to conclude, some other benefits of intermittent fasting are mental clarity. I'll explain this point more in my next videos when I'll talk about ketogenic diets. Then there is a feeling of wellness. Obviously, we feel well once we have overcome our sugar addiction. And then the next point is type 2 diabetes, which is a new disease. There was no type 2 diabetes before 1950. Type 2 diabetes is fully reversible. It is completely curable and fully reversible, and intermittent fasting is the key to cure this disease. And furthermore, fat loss becomes effortless. You don't have to make an effort to lose weight. Our body already know how to do this. We have to give it permission to get rid of fats, and that permission is by removing or eliminating the excess amount of insulin. And as I have said previously, we have more energy, we are in a better health. So thank you very much. English is not my first language. I'm sorry, I must have made many mistakes in my narration. I hope you can put up with that. I'm making this video because I know that this video and this information may save many lives, may make your life better, may make you understand why you are struggling and suffering. There's no need to suffer. If we understand the basic phenomena, how our bodies work, we can become healthy and improve our life many folds. Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon.